What's good, everyone? Welcome back to a new tutorial. Brand new one. I thought I'd switch things up, do something a little different. You get me? Make sure you guys are subscribed, by the way. You know what I'm saying? Let's just keep the subscriber count going up. You get me? Also, follow me on Instagram. It's on the screen. And yeah, make sure you give a like to this video. And let's get started. Let's make the Jaw Titan from Attack on Titan, obviously, if you haven't watched the anime. Why this one? I don't know. It's kind of my favorite, to be honest. First things first, as usual, let's just delete everything. Delete. Obviously, I've got my custom reference image. I'm always making my own, so let's start by bringing that in real quick. Here we go. Again, let's press Alt R. Let's rotate Z minus 90. Rotate X 90. There we go. But yeah, like I was saying, you can get this in the link in the description, by the way, if you want it. Actually, it's kind of pretty centered up. So this will be the front view. So let me just move it back a little bit. And then let's duplicate it and then rotate Z 90 degrees. And let's go to side view and put that here along the side. Just so we can kind of get both. And again, to make sure they're lined up properly, let's bring in a cube. Something like that. Scale it up. Just until it like fits in the whole thing, basically. Let's go down here to this little yellow tab. And then what is the viewport display? Wireframe. No, textured. Let's go wireframe. So you can see it's kind of, actually let's make it a little bit bigger. So it's touching the top and the bottom over here. So let's go to side view. And let's just make sure this picture fits into the box as well. So something like that should be fine. Let's just move it X a little bit. Alright, so now we can get started. Again, as usual, there's different ways you can make anything really when it comes to 3D. It's just up to you. You could sculpt, you could start with like a ball and then sculpt that out. Or you could make it using geometry, using planes, which is my preferred way. I haven't really, to be honest, I haven't really messed around with sculpting too much. Alright, so let's get started. Let's bring in a plane. So Shift A, and then let's go with a plane. Rotate that along the X 90 degrees. And then let's go and tap into edit mode and let's add a loop cut in the middle. Going to face select by pressing 3 or coming up here and selecting this one. And let's delete the left side. And then let's tap off edit mode, come into the modifiers tab. Let's add a mirror modifier and turn on clipping. So now if you go into X-ray mode by pressing Alt Z or by coming up here to this icon there, the little two rectangles, squares, whatever. So we can see a little bit more what we're doing. So let me just scale this down to about there. Let me bring it down a little bit. I want to start like over here. So we're just going to add a loop cut to kind of just extrude it out and kind of form the shape basically, if that makes sense. So it's adding a loop cut right here. By the way, I don't really model like this, to be honest. I don't really make faces or anything like that. So this is going to be, I'm kind of experimenting myself. So let's go. Let me just move this out. And let's bring this in here. And let's bring these two down along the Z. The way to think about this is you want to visualize how the faces are facing, if that makes sense. So for example, this area here is facing downwards, while this area here is facing me, and this area here is facing to the left, if that makes sense. So that's kind of what you want to do. So let me just come in here. First of all, the first thing you should always do when making a character, in my opinion, is start with the eyes. So let's do that right now. Let me just extrude these out. You can press Ctrl and left click, by the way. And let's bring this down. You can see how here it like goes up and then it goes to the right. So I'm gonna try to emulate that. But just go around. Let's just extrude around the eye. Let's set it about. Let's just start with these two. Extrude those down along the Z, about there. And we can select these here and go around the nose. So like this. These will be the bottom faces basically. Make sure I have clipping turned on as well, just so they hit each other. So here we can add in a loop cut there. Scale Z 0. We can make this a face, like so. Same here. And then maybe add in another loop cut there. and make these ones faces. So we get something like this, and let's just bring this down, just so it kind of resembles the nose a little bit more. Alright, that's not too bad. And basically, we're gonna start with 2D basically. So right now this is flat, as you can see. But after we kind of done making most of the face, we're gonna pull all of these out. So let's go back into front view. And let's just start with, I want to go down into the jaw. So with these here, let me just extrude one, and let's make this a face. And let me just go here, kind of following the vertices that we already made. So let's go around like so, to about there. And let's just fill all of these in. Oops. The loop cut there, and one up here. Let's try to keep this facing up. Maybe one more in here. So let's select these two edges here and double press G. Let's just slide them down a little bit. Basically, just try to keep everything aligned. So let's bring these in. Something like that, doesn't look too bad. And let's kind of flatten this out and just connect it here. I feel like it should work pretty good. Let me just extrude this out. Try to follow kind of the curvature of it. And I know that there's like a shortcut you can use to add faces faster, but I don't remember it. I'll just do it this way. Let's join these, and then let me extrude one more, probably up here. Join that. Let's just join these, just to kind of close it off for now at least. There we go, you get something like this. So you can see it's flowing already. Let's bring this down. So we have this kind of little loop here that goes around the eye, which is what you want. Let's bring this down as well. Now we can start kind of working around the 3D space. So let's first start by bringing these out. Let's go C and then select these faces here. Let's just bring these forwards a little bit. Something like that. You can go to side view as well. Kind of help you out. Let's bring this back. Let's go back into front view. Here we go, we're getting something like this. Let me just bring this up a little bit. Kind of make it smoother. Something like that. Let's select this kind of eye area. Let's just extrude it in. And then let's scale it up a little bit. Let's go back into front view so we can see what we're doing. So scale it and then scale along Z. Something like this, just so that it's out of the way. Let me bring this forward a little bit actually. Maybe bring these down just a little bit, just so it's not going up too much. Alright, that's not too bad. So now let's do the same thing, let's work on the nose. So let's select all of these 3 or 4, and we're going to bring those out. Let's bring these areas in. When I mean in it, by in I mean bring it underneath it. So you get something like this basically. Double press G on these. So this is what we got to so far. You can see you kind of have this nose. Let's select it, let's move it out a little bit more. So you basically get something like this. Doesn't look too bad. Let me come back up here. Let me zoom out. Okay, that's alright. Let's go to the side view. So what we need to do is bring everything forward just a little bit more and then wrap it around the face. So I'm just going to bring these forwards. Actually, what we can do is select these. Let's go into the side view and we just pull this back all the way here with portion editing on. So you can scroll up and down to kind of affect more or less of the mesh. So let's go to about there for now. And let's rotate it along the Z and then bring this back. And then rotate along the Z a little bit more. Scroll in and bring this back along the Y a little bit more. So you get something like this. Let's just fix this edge. So now we kind of have this curve happening, as you can see. Now we actually have like a 3D mesh rather than 2D. As you can see, it doesn't look too bad either. We can add a subdivision. So Control 1 or whatever your shortcut was from like 2 tutorials ago. Control 1 is my shortcut. So you get something like this. If you want to add a shortcut to anything, so let's say a subdivision. So you have to go to the modifiers, go under subdivision, right click and click assign shortcut. So click this and then press any button you want. For me, it's Control 1. So whenever I say subdivision, if you don't see me come to the panel here, all I'm doing is just pressing Control 1. And actually, let me turn on screencast so you guys can see what I'm doing. I always forget whenever I start a tutorial, so let me turn that on real quick. So yeah, you should get something like this. As you can see. Let's just bring this down a little bit more. And obviously you can shade smooth, but I actually like seeing the geometry. So I can see how clean the vertices are basically. Or the topology. So let's bring this down. Obviously this is supposed to be inside the eye. So let's bring that down. Let's select this area. Turn on portrait editing, make your life a little bit easier. Actually, let's bring all of this down. Right here, so this here is the outer portion of the eye. Kind of like the bone basically, the outside. And then this part here is the inside. So as long as you remember what everything is, you can kind of visualize what you're doing, if that makes sense. Alt Z, and let's see what's that's looking like. Okay, so not too bad. We get in there slowly and surely. We get in there. So now let's just start extruding upwards and build the rest of the face. Again, you can go with whatever step you want, but I'm gonna start going up because that's what I feel like looks good. So let's come back in edit mode and let's select these edges like that. Maybe that one too, and then let's extrude it upwards. Let's go, you know what, let's go up to there. You get something like this. Let's go front view. And I might just go scale Z0 just to flatten it. So I can actually see what I'm doing a little bit better. So now we can kind of clean up our mesh a little bit. So let's space it out. Let's see if there's any detail here. So let's bring these up like so. This will be like the eyebrow area. Let's select this top edge like so. And then on the side view, we can see we need to bring this forward a little bit more. So let's select all of these. Let's say these ones here. Go back into side view and then turn on portion editing and let's bring these forwards just a little bit. And then let's select these ones up here. Go back into side view and bring those forward as well. These two. Let's do well. Because we want to get like a more of an organic shape, a more rounded shape. Okay, that's pretty good. And let's join these two together. So make sure auto merge is turned on and we can join these together. Just to take off some vertices that we really don't need. Let's join these like that. Let's just bring these forward just to smooth it out. So you get something like this. Maybe bring this out a little bit more. Just a tiny bit. So something like that looks pretty good. You can see we're getting there slowly. Shade smooth, let me just check what it looks like smooth. Okay, so that's really good actually. Let's go into the side view. How's that looking? Okay, let's kind of work on the side view a little bit. Select this edge here, turn on proportional editing, and let's just bring this out just a little bit more. Maybe select these two, bring those out. Let's work on this eye because I don't really like how it's looking. So let's select this edge here. Oops, press G. Let's turn on proportional editing. So this edge here, we want it gone. We want it like back there. So you see how this little line here? Let's line this up with that. So let's go back. Something like this. So we get like a more ergonomic shape. Let's select this top edge here. And let's just rotate that. And scale a little bit. Let's bring that there. So let's go into front view. Let's bring this down. Turn on portion editing. Let's select this edge here and let's extrude that up. And then let's go into the side view and pull that back to about there. Something like that. And let's select all of these edges here. We can bring those down a little bit. And let's bring those out to about there. Just so we get like a more rounded shape, as you can see. And then here we can come in here. Obviously bring these down. Like so. And now let's just extrude these faces here. So let's select these two edges, extrude down, let's rotate that, then extrude one more time, and we can fill this in. So select them and press F. Select these and press F. Let's bring this down a little bit more. So I'm just kind of working around the mesh, basically, or around the reference image. So select this, press F. And then here we can see it's quite a hard drop off. So let's select these two and go Z. Let me just bring this in a little bit. Maybe bring this in down a little bit as well. Let's add a loop cut there. Make this a face. Make these a face. Let's bring this down a little bit. Let's select this and extrude it about there. Make that a face. Extrude about there. Make that a face. Let's add in the loop cut right about here. And I feel like, okay, these two should be fine. Let's extrude this down here. And then extrude this down. There's like a hard face here. Let's turn that into a face. Extrude this down. Turn this into a face. Like so. And then let's extrude it out to make like this tooth. So select these two, extrude down. And let's scale that in. So I'm gonna leave it like that for now. Obviously I'm gonna add a little bit more detail later. And then let's just move on to the front. Back in edit mode. And then let's just kind of follow this out. So that's a face there. Extrude that out. That's another face there. Extrude that out. That's another face there. And we're just gonna align it. So the trick is basically, or the way I go about it is, I align it in one kind of view. So in this case, the side view. And then I go back into the front view and make sure everything lines up again. So it kind of helps me walk around like that. So let's bring these up. Let's select all of these. Proportional editing. Let's bring these up as well. So there we go. Something like that. And then let's bring this in. As you can see, this side goes in like that. So all of these need to come in along the X. Let's just put them there for now. We'll sort them out in a minute. And let's work on this kind of tooth here. So that could be the side there. Let's follow this line here. Because obviously you have the upper jaw and then the lower jaw. Bring this down. And now let's go into the side view. You can see this is lined up properly. And now we can kind of work on this a little bit. So let's select these three. And let's extrude those down. And let's rotate that, kind of scale it in a little bit. Let me just clean up the mesh a little. Let's bring this up, bring these down. Kind of get it flowing from here, get it flowing all the way back up. So let's bring this down as well. There we go. There we go. Maybe I'll add another loop cut in here. So something like that. And let's just bring this down. Because I want it all flowing upwards, if that makes sense. So select this, let's go J. And then from here I can just connect it with a loop cut. So let's add a loop cut in here. Let's select these two and press J. And then we can delete all of these. So select all of these and press delete, dissolve edges. Do the same with this one. So select and shift R. There we go. Now the topology is much cleaner. And let's do this, try to do the same with here. So let's add another loop cut in the middle there. And let's go K, select this and draw it down to here. So I'm basically just trying to clean up the mesh basically that I made. This tooth we just made right here. Let's work on that. So let's bring it in and kind of line it up over here. So let's bring all of these vertices over. Something like that. Let's do the same with these ones. So select all of them by pressing Alt and then double press G to slide them over. And then let's just line this up. Okay, that's looking good. Let's add another loop cut right in here. And then let's extrude this up and then there. And let's make a face here. Oops, what just happened? There we go. Something like that. Just try to keep as simple as you can basically. There we go. I hope this isn't too complicated. So let's exit and let's see how it's looking. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. Let's go back to the front view. Let's bring this forwards. It's kind of going a little bit too much. And then let's select this bottom edge here, this bottom two. Let's extrude that down. So this will be our base. Okay, so from here we can start extruding. So let's connect all of these faces here. There we go. And then let's select, let's bring this down. Let's turn off proportion editing for a little bit. Bring this down as well. So let's select all of these and extrude them down. And let's just align this properly. So about there, this will be the middle. So something like that. So basically I broke this down a little bit, just kind of edge here. So you get something like this, just to mark it like sharp, I guess. You could bring this one down as well, if you want to carry it. Something like that. Another way you could do it is selecting it. There's a bunch of ways. And then Shift E to mark sharp, like that. Or you can add a bevel, Control B. And then add a bevel. To get something like this. But I think I'm gonna just leave it like this, basically. So yeah, you get something like this. Let's bring this up a little bit. Let's go into the side view. We need to bring this back a little bit more. So there we go. Okay, so now let's move on to making the jaw. Now that we have basically the skull made. Or we can start with one of these planes actually. So select the skull. And let's select this face, let's say. And let's bring it down. Let's go about there. Let's select these two edges. G, X, turn off portion editing. And let's join them down here. Let's bring this one down. There we go. Let's select these two. Let's bring it to kind of like the middle. You see how it's like a triangle. So put it in the middle there. Let's extrude to this other side there. Let's rotate that. Let's extrude again. You can bring this up like so. Bring this down maybe. And let's extrude one more couple of times. So about there, there, and let's say there. So now let's just start lining up. So over here, let's go there. Let's add another loop cut here. Let's select these three and extrude up. And let's bring this down. Just until it lines up basically. Let's do the same here. Let's extrude up. And bring this down. Bring this one about there. Select these two. Let's extrude up. Let's add a vertex in the middle. Or loop cut, sorry. And let's bring these down. Like so. And then for this side here, we can add a loop cut. Select these two and let's extrude up. And let's select all of this. So go to a vertex and press L to select link. Press P. Selection. So now keep in mind this is going to be flat as you can see. So let's just select here. Let's go into the side view and just do what we did earlier. So turn on portion editing. Go back into edit mode. G, Y, and just scroll up. So turn it on. Do you get something that you like? So let's rotate it along the Z. There. We're going to top view as well, just to make sure it started lining up properly. So let's bring this forwards. Probably about there. So you can see it there. Let's bring about there. That looks alright. Let's go back into front view. And let's just edit it. So let's just pull these vertices back in. Let's just bring this in a little bit. Let's pull these out. It's a little bit too... It's not rounded enough, so let's bring this out a little bit. Let's bring these middle ones out as well. To get something like this. Let's go back into X-ray mode. Let's bring these up. Bring this up as well. Just bring that one there. Basically just line it up as we've been doing throughout this whole tutorial. Again, it's not really complicated or difficult, it's just time consuming, I guess. So something like that. Let's do this jaw as well, just like end part. Let's go into the side view. Let's bring it back in a little bit. And let's just line it up from this side. So you end up with something like this basically. As you can see. Again, let's need to line up perfectly with the reference image. Let's go to the side view. And actually there's like a little crease, so let's add that. So let's select all of these. Let's go Control B, like that. And then we're going to join the edges. So again, make sure auto merge is on. Let's turn off proportion editing. Let's select all of these, press M at center, and then select all of these and go Shift R to repeat. And then maybe we can bring these in a little bit more. Let's select this one and bring it inwards, or bring it that way basically. Push it inside the mesh and push this one's out. And let's bring this out. There we go. So now we have like a little line there. So basically you will end up with something like this, as you can see. Don't forget to save. So let's just save real quick. So there we go. You end up with something like this. Actually, let me bring this out a little bit more. There's always going to be little areas that you don't really like. So let me just bring this out forwards. Maybe this one forwards a little bit as well. But anyways, you end up with something like this. Now obviously it's flat. There's nothing on the back of it, as you can see. So let's add a solidify modifier. So let's go to modifiers, solidify. Just to give a bit more geometry. Let's increase the thickness a bit. Maybe about there. Let's go back into edit mode, press A, press Alt N, and click recalculate outside. This will recalculate all the normals basically. So now as you can see here, it's like clipping through the mesh. So we just need to fix one of these vertices. It's kind of intersecting with itself. So there we go. One of these, as you can see, they're kind of messed up a little bit. Let's just bring those out. Let's pull these out. Something like that. There we go. That looks a lot better. You can choose whatever thickness you want, but I just went with 4. Oh, sorry, 0.4. There we go. Let's do the same thing for this jewel. So select it and let's add a solidify. And let's go 0.4. There you go. And then let me just try come down here to this little object data. Let's go normals. And let's see if we can play with that. How's that looking? Actually, let's bring it down a little bit more. Let me try that with this. Okay. Let's fix this nose a little bit. It's a bit too sharp looking. There we go. Let's fix this jaw a little bit. It's kind of touching this top part. Let's go into side view actually. And let's bring it out along the X. Do the same for these. There we go. Okay, so now let's move on to making the teeth.
Cool. You got a few niggas, I got an army. You got a few guns, we got an armory. I'm with them bull niggas, they be bullying. But if you fuck up once, chop a oozing.